Welcome back to Are You High Right Now? DJ, are you high right now?
I'm actually not.
I was just thinking, I didn't see you smoke before this.
But I mean, this is quiet.
You're just going to go while we...
Yeah. So this is Lord Lamborn. It's one of our new ones. 76% THC. Super, super tasty. It's actually one of my favorites so far. And in the 1 gram disposable. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So he is currently getting high. So throughout the podcast, he might be a little bit more high-ish. I don't know. You never really act like you're high when we're actually recording, though. We are back after a couple week hiatus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to realize it might be a little bit difficult to record during the summer just because we usually record on the weekends and
We have a lot going on.
we have a lot going on. But the reason we didn't record the last couple weekends, we went on a trip.
Yep. We're in Florida for about 5 days.
5 days,
6
yeah.
days.
So we left on a Sunday, and we usually record on a Sunday, so we didn't record that day. And then we got back, we just were like, oh, we just came back from vacation. We don't want to immediately go do it. So that was the other reason.
Yep.
But we are back finally, and
then our final reason is because our child was sick.
yeah. So then the last reason is that our son has been sick with like 2 days with like 102, 103 degree fever, and he's finally feeling better. I was worried for a bit there of what the heck do we do?
It's been 3 days.
Yeah. So not a lot of sleep, a lot of Motrin, a lot of Tylenol, and I don't know. I just feel like I think this was in a way good for us because we learned that although a fever seems really scary, the doctors were really good about like, that's actually not a bad thing.
Not the doctors, our doctor.
Our doctor's great, but just really good about saying like a fever's not a bad thing. You just have to keep it under control, and it's probably just a virus, like whatever. But I feel like most parents could relate to this. When your first kid has like a super high fever, you're like, holy shit, what do we do? Like, we were scared to kind of let him sleep for too long. Like, I don't know.
And one of the crazy things that I actually learned is there's not like a set temperature for like babies and like when it's bad. Of course, like a high temp over 100 is never good. But like in our case, he was 102 to 103 to 103.7. And like the 103.7 is as high as he got. But when we were battling it, we could only bring him down to like 101.
Yeah. Well, and the doctor was saying too that like, oh, you could see a kid with 102 degree fever and they're like seizing, and then a different kid, like they're still acting like their playful self. So not that that's good to have a high fever, but it's just your kid handles it differently. Yeah. And his was pretty consistently like 102 is where it was at. Like it would get a little bit higher, but it would pretty much just creep to that 102. But either way, he's doing good now, thankfully. So
yeah, it was a rough couple.
It was a rough couple days, but here we are. Actually, last episodes, a couple weeks ago, we talked about things that women want men to know. I wanted to do the other side of that, things that men want women to know.
Yeah.
But I think let's do that for our next podcast because I want to do like horror travel stories because we just got back from a trip. So I thought that would be relevant and wanted to quick talk about our trip. It was really good. We went to like Rosemary Beach in Florida, so kind of by Panama City, Destin area. Stayed in a beach house, literally right on the beach. So much of it was really, really amazing. But I want to talk about a couple things that happened that weren't great, just in the spirit of a travel horror story. Right off the get-go, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but our son does not like to sleep in a pack and play at all. A little bit before we went, we set up the pack and play in his room so that we could get him used to sleeping in a pack and play. We're like, we're going to be so ready for this trip. And then we go, and the very first night, he did not sleep in the pack and play for even a second, I don't think.
Yeah, he tumbled and tossed in between Sam and I. But
yeah, so what I was going to say is we got to the point sleeping at home in the pack and play where he was a pro at it. Like we did a week of that. He would go down for naps, bedtime, not cry at all. We're like, oh my God, we just like found the hack to traveling because we just like get him used to a pack and play. And then we go. And that first night was awful. And he ended up sleeping in bed with us, which we never have ever done because
it wasn't sleep.
Well, I didn't sleep.
I was either we were watching The Office or
yeah.
And he would just fling those fists.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thankfully, we were in like a king size bed. We were able to at some point kind of have him in between us. It was hot enough that we didn't have any blankets on us, no pillows by him. I felt better, but I still slept like crap because I was just so anxious. I know there are a lot of moms that like bed share. My postpartum anxiety just cannot do that. I wake up in the middle of the night afraid that he's somewhere in the covers on a normal night. So like, I'm just not the type to sleep.
When he doesn't sleep with us ever.
He never sleeps with us. But anyways, it was rough. And then the rest of the trip, he did pretty well and slept great in the pack and play. So that was one little thing, not a big deal, but just thought I'd mention that. And then to get to kind of the bad part of our flight, bad part of our trip, which was the flight home. So first off, we go to the Panama City airport and we're going to check our bags. And on the way there,
you could start with our Hertz experience too.
Oh, yes. Well, had a rough time with our rental car thing.
The guy
feels
was
exhausting
just
to
an
even talk
yeah,
about. I know. Okay. Is it ever a good experience with a rental car company?
I've had multiple good experiences with rental cars.
Well, ours was not good.
One in Oregon. I've had one in Jackson Hole. That was great. I've had two in Oregon actually that were good.
Mm-hmm. But this one took a long time to get the car. They it was under my mom's card, and then her card the chip wasn't working, and so then
No, what was going on was your mom was the one who had purchased the contract. I was the driver on the application and everything, but they needed your
credit card information, right?
Yeah, they needed my credit card information in case something happened to the car. So it was just like a lot of, anyways, it was a shit show. And then we finally get a car, and maybe it was a car we picked out, but it wasn't very big, so we couldn't fit all our luggage in there. Yeah, so I had to like sit on the floor in the middle of the bucket seats. Anyway, so we get that. It's because the XL was fucking $800.
Yeah. So then our flight home, we get to the Panama City airport. We go to check our bags. I was going to say on the flight there, we could take the car seat and the stroller all the way through the airport and gate check it. And all my friends that I'd talked to before, this was our first time flying with a baby, they said, yeah, you don't have to pay for that. They just let you gate check it. So that's what they did on the way there. It was perfect. And then going home, I walk up to the counter to give our suitcase, and this girl immediately has an attitude and is like, what did she say? She said, like, is that 2 parts? Like, I need to weigh that. And she was talking about the car seat and the stroller. And I was like, yeah, it's 2 parts. Like, it breaks down and the car seat goes in the bag, and then there's the other part. And she keeps saying she needs to weigh it. And I was like, well, okay, we literally have like 5 bags right here that we're checking. I literally just was the first person like up to you with a stroller. But like, we're not checking this. I'm whatever. And she's like, nope, I need to weigh it. Whatever. Just kind of cutting me off, being a little bitch. I'm not usually one to like be mean or like confrontational, but something about this girl, I wanted to freaking punch her in the face so hard.
You had an attitude too.
I had an attitude because I was pissed. She just wouldn't even let me talk. She immediately was mad. It was like this young blonde girl, which by the way, blonde? Yeah. And you know what I was thinking when we flew into Panama City, when we first got there, and I was waiting at our gate to get our stroller back, this girl comes up to hand me the stroller, and I go to grab it, and she chucks it on the ground in front of me. And when we were leaving the airport, I was like, Jesus, like, they're so rough. Even gate checking, they're rough with it. It was the same fucking girl. She just has an attitude. I don't know. Anyways, fast forward again.
I think you need to write a letter.
I wanted to.
I think you need to write a letter.
I kid you not. I was so riled. I wanted to get this girl fired. I've never been this mad at someone.
I've been in a situation where, I've been in a situation where I got an attitude with somebody at a gate, and I almost got arrested for it.
And so that pisses me off too. Like, I'm not going to be like mean. I'm not going to be like aggressive, but like, do your job. She had to like ask somebody else. She didn't even know what was going on. Long story short, she makes us weigh a whole thing. So we had three separate parts to this. We had the actual car seat, the stroller that hooks onto, and this extra seat that we used on the trip. Yep. So these 3 parts. Now we easily could have checked that extra seat, like did it once. Whatever. But instead she insisted on weighing the whole thing, and it weighed 21 pounds. The max is apparently 20. And instead of being like, hey,
it was more than 21 pounds.
What? I thought that's what Nick said.
No. It was way over 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like 45.
45?
Yeah. With the freaking stroller, the car seat, and that extra seat, it was like 40 some pounds.
Okay, well, that's a little bit different. I thought it was 1 pound over. Regardless, she wasn't like telling us like what was going on. She pretty much was like.
It was 30 pounds was what it was, 34 pounds.
Either way, doesn't matter. She made us check it. Well, after seeing how they obviously throw luggage around, I was like, how can you guarantee that my stroller and car seat that's over $1,000 is not going to be totally destroyed and ruin the integrity of a car seat that a child is in? Like, that's, I think I was in like mom mode of like,
well, get us some free
don't
tickets.
Fuck this up.
Get us some free tickets and call them.
So we go to our gate. We have like 3 hours until our flight. We know that our layover, we only have like an hour. And then our flight gets delayed. So we're like, okay, this is going to be a really close call, as it is. So I'm trying to get Jaden to fall asleep so that we don't have a rough flight. So I take him to this other area of the airport. It's a really small airport. There's this other area that's by like a mother's room. So it's not like this area is not its own room. There's no like door to close it off, but there's no one in here. There's like 2 rows of seats is all. So I go in the corner, I'm feeding him. He gets done feeding, sits up and throws up all over me, all over the seat, all over the carpet. I don't have my phone on me because I just thought, I'll just like go feed him in this area real quick. So I have to walk back to the busier part of the airport with puke all over me, all over our kid. And I have to get your attention and say like, he just threw up on me. So you take him and go get like an extra shirt and stuff. I didn't pack an extra set of clothes for myself. Stupidly didn't pack an extra set for him because I think I just didn't pack well. And so I didn't have room in the carry-on for more clothes. Either way, we finally get on our flight. We're super delayed. And you can tell he like doesn't feel well the whole flight. And then our plane lands. We have to...
I had motion sickness.
Probably, yeah. So then we are sprinting to our next flight. And we're the very last ones on the flight. Like there's people along the way that are like, are you going on this flight to Rapid City? Like they stop. Like we're the very last people. And then they close the gates behind us. We get on the plane. There's people in our seats. And we're just irritated at this point because we're like breathing hard. There's people in our seats. We're like, hey, you're in our seats. And they're kind of like, oh, like we didn't know. Like they're just kind of making excuses instead of going back to their own seats.
And then I started getting an attitude.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, maybe the flight attendants didn't say anything, but I would think someone would say, hey, we're waiting for like a few other people that had a close connection. Please don't move seats until we know which ones are empty. Because
they usually will tell you that you can move when you're allowed to move.
Yeah, they'll let you know when you can.
There's extra seats, you can.
Yeah. So then the flight attendant was also not helpful in like getting people to move. She was just kind of like, well, sit wherever. And we're like, no, we have a sick baby. We paid for like seats together. I'm not sitting by myself with a sick baby who just threw up by some random. So we finally get our seats and we're like, whew, okay, can take a breath. We made it. Flight hasn't even taken off yet. Jane starts throwing up again all over me. Thankfully, there was like a mom behind us who starts handing me like wipes and trying to help me. There's a lady in front of me who's like offering me clothes of hers. I don't know if you like heard her say that, but finally I had like a little bit of faith in humanity that people were like being so nice. But it was rough. And then he slept the rest of the flight, thankfully. And I went the entire flight with like wet, pukey clothing. Sorry, that was a lot.
You had a shirt on, didn't you?
Yeah, you bought me another shirt, so I was able to like switch shirts. But, sorry, that was a lot. That was a long story, but it was rough.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So yeah, bring an extra pair of clothes for you and your baby. Okay, I've got some listener stories. Do you have any like bad travel stories?
Not necessarily. I've been to a couple bachelor parties that were more of like a babysit party than a bachelor party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But was that the fault of the trip, or was it just it could have been wherever? It was just who you were with.
It could have been wherever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I don't regret going on those trips.
Yeah. They're just sometimes chaotic.
They're just super chaotic, and I'm in a high stress area that I don't have no control on. It just puts me into a anxious spiral.
Yeah. I was gonna say the last like girls trip I went on, I feel like with flights I can be very like cheap because I'm just like I just want to get there. Like I don't care if I have a really good seat. If I'm by myself, like I just don't usually care. And I bought a different flight out. It was like 1 hour later than other friends.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh, who cares? Like I'm saving like $100. It's an hour later, not a big deal. And my flight ended up getting delayed because there was issues with the plane and we had to like deboard and then go to a totally different gate. And it was such a like stupid situation. And I was hours late and I got there and I was tired and hungry and I spent probably more money on like stupid airport food and an Uber because I was by myself, and then go meet up with the girls and they've already been hanging out for hours and like drinking and having fun. And I just was kicking myself of like, I should have just spent $100 extra and flew with my friends. So I would say don't be cheap.
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
be that cheap.
I agree with that. I think anytime like I've gone somewhere with friends, it's so much fun when there's like 8 of you and you're all on the same plane and you're all next to each other, and that's kind of when the party starts, is when you get on the plane.
I totally agree.
It doesn't matter if it's 9:00 in the morning or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. So we have some listener stories.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first one, I was in Ireland visiting a guy who had failed to tell me he was living with his very strict Catholic parents. My luggage was lost in transit, so I was dressed as his sister for a week and had to sneak in and out of his room at night so his parents wouldn't know we were defying God's wishes.
Wait. He invited her there.
And he was living with his parents.
To stay with him? Like, sketchy, but
I'm wondering,
there's a catch because I got to sneak you in every night.
Yeah, I do have questions with this one of like, how well did you know this guy?
Yeah.
And he's like from Ireland, and you must have known him well enough to like actually go visit him and stay with him.
Maybe she met him in Ireland. Like maybe she visited him in Ireland when she went one time.
Maybe
met him and then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's
that would be a very interesting thing to go stay with someone. They're like, oh yeah, I live with my parents, and you're not allowed to be in the same room as me.
I think personally, I would have gotten. I think I would have gotten a hotel room or something.
Probably. When I was 16 or 17, my parents booked me a flight to my grandparents. The flight left at midnight and landed at my first stop around 4 a.m. When I got to the stop, I found out that my second flight had been canceled and we weren't notified. At the time, my parents had restrictions on my phone, so I couldn't call or text anyone, including my parents, until 7 a.m. I think I was supposed to land around that time at my next stop. So at 7, I got a call from my dad asking how my flight was and was shocked that I hadn't called him to let him know it had been canceled. I had to remind him I had restrictions on my phone and physically couldn't. A fight ensued, but it was fine since eventually I got on another flight. I would be so pissed at my parents.
I would be too.
Okay, what's the point of having restrictions on your phone, but you also can't call your parents? What if you are like actually in trouble?
Or in danger, or it's kind of shitty.
And personally, I don't think you should ever have restrictions of a certain time. You shouldn't be allowed to call or text somebody.
You should just have right place, right time.
Huh? What do you mean?
Like there's a place and time where you can use your phone.
Yeah, and I mean, just going off of like strict parents, and obviously we don't have a kid who has a phone yet, so we could totally change our mind on this. But I think just hopefully like find a way to get that respect from your kid so that you have that mutual respect, not like, nope, you're not allowed to do this. Because also you're on a flight. Like how scary is that? What if you ended up in the wrong spot? What if you like, and then for them to get mad at you on top of it.
Well, and then I guess when I had my phone, I never had restrictions, but when I got in trouble, I got my phone taken away, But they're going to find access to that anyways. It's a computer. I mean, you think you can monitor their every thought and...
No, and especially when it comes to technology, like the newer like generation of kids, they're going to be smarter than their parents when it comes to technology.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if you think, oh, I'm going to block all this stuff, they're going to find a way around it. They're going to have a freaking burner phone or, like, a fake Instagram or what. Like, they will find their way around it. So, I think give them, like, a little bit more freedom, and then I think kids usually just respect you more. I don't know.
In theory.
In theory, but, like, I never really had restrictions on my phone. And I never really did stupid shit with it.
Well, I mean, like I said, it wasn't because of my phone that got me
Right,
in trouble. It was
right.
my other actions that would get me in
And
trouble.
that was the consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like I was creating mischief with my phone.
Mischief?
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 Now it doesn't even sound like a word. Okay. Anyways, I'm glad
Sounds
you
like
got
you're saying
there.
You missed Jiffy peanut butter.
Also, crazy that your flight left at midnight
what?
by yourself at 16. Like,
Your parents
what?
fucked up.
What?
Yeah, your parents fucked up by doing. They gave you a red eye flight.
Yes. What the hell?
First flight ever. Let's go.
And you cannot call or text anybody. Okay, this one. Okay, so this was a text from, sorry, not a text, Instagram message from Jordan. From Jordan's Got a Gun.
Oh, yeah? Oh, we can say your name on here?
I think so because it wasn't anonymous. And I thought this was funny.
Well, I don't know if she wants you saying her name.
Fine, I can cut that out.
Okay.
Jordan, you want me to cut that out?
You better ask her. Don't just put her ass on blast.
It's not embarrassing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's short. One time I fell asleep with a caramel macchiato in my hand. I was just going to tell you.
Oh, shit.
Knowing it's her, I feel like made the story more funny. Okay.
Okay, I'm listening.
One time I fell asleep with a caramel macchiato in my hand and spilt it all over the guy's white pants next to me. And he didn't speak English. I was so out of it, I rang for the flight attendant, then fell back asleep.
She said, fuck it.
She said, I'll get you help. Ding. See you later.
Honestly, it's a pretty G move.
Oh, that is
So
hilarious.
I'll take care of you, but...
And like, he didn't speak English. Was he just...
Was he pissed?
Was he chewing you out in a different language?
Is that how she woke up? Like, this guy woke him up?
Yeah.
Or woke her up?
Just rambling. She's like, oh.
Oh, I can imagine how
Uh-oh.
pissed. Okay, first of all, I would
Who
never wear
wears
white
white pants on an airplane?
Yeah, no, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Now we've got some Reddit stories.
Okay.
First solo international vacation flying from Chicago and connecting in Hong Kong. This series of events made it the worst. First, during boarding, there's an announcement that the reading lights in business class do not work and an electrician is coming to fix it. Okay, like stupid. 2, when the electrician is done, the plane is de-iced and pushes back from the gate only to sit there for 10 to 15 minutes before another announcement that the reading lights have gone out again. The plane goes back to the gate. Like, who cares? Why do they care about little things like that? 3, the next announcement is that the time we've already been delayed, plus how long the electrician needs to actually fix the issue, plus flying time would time out the crew and also get us to Hong Kong past a reasonable hour. The flight is delayed until the next morning. Because checked bags have already been through customs, they're staying on the plane. The next morning, we take off after a brief delay. 3 to 4 hours later, there's an announcement asking for a doctor. Soon after, there's an announcement that a passenger needs emergency care and will be diverting to Anchorage to drop them off. In Anchorage, the guy's taken off the plane. I later learned from his seatmate that he had packed a medication in his checked bag and being without it for a day messed him up. During pre-takeoff maintenance, some mechanical issue is discovered. Again, the time to fix it would time out the crew. We're overnighting in Anchorage.
Oh my God.
I end up booked in a wing of a hotel that's been closed for winter. It's December, and they opened the wing just for passengers from this flight. It was literally freezing in the rooms. Everyone was given a space heater. Warm water took a long time. It was miserable. The next day, we departed without incident. We arrived in Hong Kong at the same time as the same flight that left 2 days after ours. Can you imagine losing that much of your trip?
I don't know. I don't know if I could continue after that. I would be so rageful.
There's so many things happening here. Let's back up to...
I guess I got to see Alaska, you know, maybe I'd probably make the best of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ever been to Alaska? Cool.
I don't know. But... Okay, the reading lights. Do we care enough about the reading lights?
I don't think it was the reading lights. I think they were...
It was something else? You think they just say that to not scare people?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, that's a good point. And then I've definitely had that happen before where they're like, oh, by the time we fix it, we'll be out of time or whatever.
Do you really think they're going to say, yeah, we got engine 4's been acting up lately and we got to have some mechanic check on it for a little bit?
Oh, one time I was flying out of Dallas. No, I was flying to Dallas for market. when I had my store, and market started at like 7 or 8 a.m. So it's the day before. Our flight is supposed to take off at like 1 p.m. So we are supposed to get there in the evening, eat dinner, whatever. Our flight gets delayed like 10 or 11 hours. And so this is in Denver. We're on Spirit Airlines. I since know, never book with Spirit. We're in like this bottom part of the airport. There's like no one else around. There's no one at the counter. So everyone's pissed, but there's no one to talk to. There's not a single, like, I don't know what they would call flight attendant, not a flight attendant, but a gatekeeper. Yeah. No one to even be mad at. And then I think like finally our flight gets there, and it was kind of the same thing. They're like, sorry, the crew like timed out. So now we have to wait like 2 hours for another crew. Like our plane's here, but we just have to wait. And it was such a disaster. Anyways, we got to Dallas at like 4 a.m. and then had to wake up at 7 for market.
Now that you say that, that happened to Max and I.
Where at?
We were either coming back from Vegas or Jackson, or I don't remember. It was a trip with Max. I know that. And we were on our way home because we were hungover as shit. I think I think it was one of the bachelor party in Arizona. And I was hungover as shit, and we get to our gate, and it was like the time kept changing and changing and changing, and like it was, and they wouldn't really announce it. You just see it on the gate.
That's exactly what happened to ours. Yeah. All of a sudden, you'd look up and it'd be an hour later.
It'd be 15. Ours was like 15 minutes. Okay, they just kept inching us along, and then eventually, they said that they had no pilots to fly the plane. Is just what they said. We're waiting on pilots. So Max and I are just pissed off at this point. So we're like, you know what, fuck it. We're going to go to the Mexican restaurant that we saw when we were walking down, grab some drinks, hang out, eat some food, watch a movie. And we were watching the new Devil's Rejects. I remember this now because it was a terrible movie to be watching in public. And we're just sitting at the bar, have a laptop, and there's people just getting like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Devil's Rejects, but there's a lot of blood and gore and nudity and like full frontal.
Oh my gosh.
So
you're like, we don't care.
We don't, because it's a great movie. We're hungover, don't care. Anyways, so I'm sitting there. Mac's like, I gotta go take a shit. I'll be right back. So he's doing his thing, and I'm sitting there. And for some reason, I just decide to look at if our gate is gonna change. I don't know. And I look at our flight. So for one, we're in a different gate, and for two, we're 15 minutes from our plane.
Oh
leaving.
my god. Oh my gosh. Because I was gonna say, like with ours, the fact, because I forgot that it kind of kept inching along like that. We were flying out of Denver, and so we were staying with my brother before because he lived in Boulder at the time. So he dropped us off at the airports, like me, my mom, and my dad. And we were thinking when we finally took our flight at midnight or whatever, like we could have had so much time in Denver to like go eat, go shopping, do anything.
They did tell us it was going to be a 4-hour layover is what they told us. So that's why I forgot to mention that. That's why we went and got food and sat down and were watching a movie because we thought we had a shit ton of time. So we get like halfway through this movie, and that's when I happened to look at my fucking phone. And
they made the flight earlier?
They did. They changed the fucking time.
Can they do that?
Obviously.
What the heck?
So I text Max and say, bro, we got 15 minutes to get to our new fucking gate, which was in a different terminal.
One thing I've realized about flying is like, I feel like I used to think it was so like cool and like glamorous to fly, but really it's like a bus in the air. Like it's like it's public transportation, and they can like treat you pretty shitty and not give you a great experience because they're like, oh, you want to get across the country? Well, you have no other option but to fly.
I think I think there'll be Uber of private jets soon.
Yes, but like, can we afford that? I was telling my mom,
no, but think about it. So it's not like it would be, they wouldn't do it for just two people. They would have they'd have like a 10-person plane, and they would make sure they have these dates, and they'd make sure it's filled. Yeah. And then they would, I can't
imagine how expensive that would be though.
But you gotta,
because if a normal flight is still, for example, out of Rapid, it's expensive to fly anywhere. So if a normal flight for us is like $600, depending on where you're going. Imagine Uber in the sky.
Uber Sky.
I like the name of that,
Uber
actually.
Sky.
But no, what I was telling my mom is like,
they don't even think about it. It's trademarked. Look it up. Uber Sky.
I don't know if that even sounds good. Uber Sky.
Uber Sky.
Skylift.
Sky Uber. Ooh, I like Skylift. Hey.
No, but even though I said I was like really cheap when it comes to flying, I would, I don't know, maybe I would pay more for like a much better experience. Because there's like normal flight or there's flying private jet up here. There is no like in between.
Because even first class, like first class is not worth it. I've
No.
never purchased first class, but I've been upgraded to first class on a couple different occasions. And free booze and a little bit more legroom isn't worth $500.
No, I've never been in first class, but walking by it when you're going to your fucking economy seat, it's not that great.
I think it's business class anyways.
Then what's first class?
I don't think those
they don't all
planes-
have first class? Oh. Okay. Well, I've never been in business class either. Okay, we better keep moving because we're at like 37 minutes. I thought I didn't have nearly enough stories, but apparently I do. Okay. The rest are short. My fiance and I were staying at an Airbnb in Helsinki to visit family. When we got there and got settled, we were chatting about things we thought were missing in the apartment. Specifically, I remember saying I wish there was another towel hook in the bathroom. Parentheses, was only one and obviously 2 towels being used. The next day we went out and we were out pretty much all day. We got back that night, there was another towel hook in the bathroom. Like somebody heard them and then installed one. That seems like a very proactive, not
creepy.
Very creepy, but also, is that just a really good Airbnb host?
No, they motherfuckers got cameras.
They said, you want another hook? Got you. Also, your ass looks good.
Whatever you want. Whatever you like, I will put in that bathroom if you show me what's going on.
Oh my God. No,
Hell
that's
no.
creepy.
Calling the cops and instantly
Yeah.
calling the cops and saying there's fucking cameras or microphones in here.
That's a couple of these are Airbnb ones, but I didn't do any research on like people who've had that experience of cameras in the Airbnb. But that is something that's scary. But that could also be in a hotel room. Like you don't know. Any place you stay, you don't know. Okay, this one is also I think another Airbnb one. I stayed at one in Rome. The door had 5 deadbolt locks on it. The windows were barred. Found out why. Randomly through the day, people would try to open the door and look through the windows. Multiple times, we would turn around and see people peeking through cracks between the curtains. We weren't even there a lot, usually a quick meal or to drop stuff off, then back out to see the sights. Really nice place, though.
What the fuck?
Really nice.
It was a crack den that got remodeled and turned into an Airbnb.
Oh,
clearly.
that's what you think?
Yeah. There's no way that doesn't just happen. You don't just get random people peeking in your fucking window and trying to open the door and shit.
That's true.
It does not happen.
I don't know if they were like people trying to like rob you or something.
That was a trap house. That was a trap house at one point.
Interesting. That's scary. It was a really nice place though.
Does not. What, trap lords can't have nice places?
I'm joking. Okay. Okay, so here's another Airbnb one. I messaged the host asking for towels. She told me they were under the bed in a drawer. They were in the second drawer that I opened. The first drawer was stuffed full of sex toys and bondage supplies. To each their own. That's her sexual expression. But you got to put that somewhere else when you have guests staying over. I shouldn't have been surprised since she had about 30 framed photos on the wall in the tiny studio apartment. Photos of herself from various pole dancing competitions and boudoir shoots.
40?
30 framed photos.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
She does not give a shit. She's like, oh, you looked in the wrong drawer.
Yeah, but
don't use my dildos.
Even if I had a drawer filled with dildos, I'd probably still keep some sort of lock on it or something. I would
think so.
Think of Jaden going in there and
ew. First off, we do not have a drawer like that. But also, ew, you want strangers seeing your stuff? Like, ick. Okay, this one's kind of about an airport. They lost my shoe in the scanner, then insisted I move on. I demanded they find it. And they threatened to have me arrested. Eventually they found it and said I was lucky to not be on a no-fly list.
Suck my dick.
They lost his shoe. Middle airport. Nope, you go shoeless. Are you joking? See, this is what you were saying of like they can get you kicked off flights. It's like they should not
be really careful. Even how unreasonable that they're sometimes they will be so unreasonable, but you have to TSA agents are not to be fucked with.
No. Oh my gosh. And that's like one thing, even just flying to Florida, like some people were so nice. Like, you're like, okay, you're a breath of fresh air. And others, you immediately think, you hate your job. You hate your job. You hate your life. And they're awful. I don't know.
You don't know what's going on at home, okay?
I don't think that's a good excuse. Everyone has their own shit going on. Just to be an asshole to everyone you talk to. But no, that's wild. How do they even lose a shoe in that? There's only so many places for it to go.
That's what I was kind of wondering. And the fact they threatened to arrest him, I would be...
You're lucky you're not on a no-fly list. You're lucky you found my shoe, bitch.
Wow.
Okay.
I would be freaking out.
Next one.
Especially my shoe. Bitch.
Especially my New Balances.
My new dad shoes. Are you fucking serious?
I was backpacking through South Asia when one night I ran out of bottled water. I had been severely warned not to drink any tap water. So the place I was staying at had a water cooler thing that I thought, hey, one glass won't hurt, right? Wrong. Ended up shitting 30 times in one night, almost died of dehydration. Listen, when they tell you not to drink the water,
don't drink
you
the fucking
don't drink the water.
Yeah.
It's not because it doesn't taste
That's how you end
normal.
up with malaria.
Yeah. It's your body is not equipped to handle
I brushed my
water
fucking
in
teeth
places
with
like
it
that.
in the Dominican, and
You can't even do that.
I don't even know why they have it installed in the fucking place.
Yeah. Well, to take a shower and stuff.
Oh, man. I brushed my teeth with it one night, and I regretted it.
Yeah. Bottled water, everything. Also, just a tip. If you're flying in a place like, well, probably anywhere, but especially Mexico, any place where you're not supposed to drink the water, take some Imodium with you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, when we went to Dominican, I think we were all just popping those like Tic Tacs. Weren't we?
I mean,
I wasn't.
I was.
I wasn't. I was actually feeling good, but apparently everyone in my family has like little
Normally, I'm good.
weak stomachs.
Normally, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty good, but
There's something about a vacation where you're all just taking turns having to shit your brains out. That's just not a pleasant experience, though. All right.
it's not yeah.
Next one. This isn't mine, but my mom's. She was young and she went to Hawaii with her mom and sisters. The trip ended and it was time to fly home. So they get on the flight. They took off. They get on the flight and they took off. 15 minutes into the flight, one of the wings went on fire. The pilot came over the speaker and said that the wing was on fire and they had to circle for a while because they had to burn out the fuel so that when they landed, they didn't blow up. After a couple of hours, they land perfectly okay and are told to stay the night in a hotel. And in the morning, they'll have the problem fixed and they can leave. The next morning, they get to the airport, get on the same plane, take off, and guess what happens? Next, the wing goes... Guess what happens next? The wing sets on fire. Okay, this is the worst grammar. Basically, the wings get started on fire again. Mm-hmm. The plane lands, and they stay another night. And the next morning, they finally get a new plane. This never really fazed my mom because she flies on average 10 times a year. I don't care. That's not enough for the wings to be catching on fire.
Yeah, what?
But does this seem like a legitimate story? So the wing is on fire.
There was no way that thing would be in commission the following day.
They can just be going in circles until it burns out
with
no worries.
I don't think that's true.
I think maybe...
If bitch could blow up in the air...
I know. I'm thinking maybe the story's... I don't know enough about planes, but I feel like maybe that story's botched up a little bit. Okay, this one. On a flight from Orlando to Houston, there were heavy storms, and the pilot came over the system and said, I have some bad news. Like, heavy sigh. My heart dropped into my stomach. Apparently, though, a plane in Houston had been struck by lightning and planes had been grounded for a few hours. His bad news is that we had to stop in Austin to refuel because we didn't have enough to circle overhead. I thought we were going to die for a second there. My connecting flight was canceled, so I joined the queue to get rebooked. Joked with the agent who clearly had had a horrible night. She booked me in first class to my final destination on the next flight and said, don't tell anyone. I got to the gate and there was a guy absolutely losing it on the gate agents, demanding a spot on that flight. I would have given it to him, but I honestly was afraid of him getting violent and or subjecting the flight attendants to him. Instead, I stayed quiet like she told me and enjoyed a glass of champagne in the air. Anyways, 2 parts of that story. First off, yes, be nice to them. Totally agree with that. Unless they're being a total bitch to you, then you can have a little bit of an attitude. But normally I'm nice. Listen,
never works out.
Normally I'm nice, but I don't think I could have been nice to that girl. But
yeah, you were like a little chihuahua.
No, I was not. That was so insulting. No, I was not. I was questioning her.
You had something against her from the moment you fucking looked at her.
Fine. Then me and her both had something against each other. I don't know what it was. Either way.
I don't know if you guys knew each other.
I don't know what it was. Either way.
Shit, I don't know if you guys knew each other.
What was her name again? Alyssa.
I don't fucking know.
Alyssa, who works for American Airlines in Panama City. Suck it. You're a little bitch, and I hope you see this.
Fucking tag me.
Find her. She's mad at the world.
Like an attitude. She did have an attitude. I'm not gonna lie, she did.
I had an attitude back.
And rightfully so, but man.
Okay, back me up on this. No, I'm asking you a question.
I was like, I am backing you up.
No, I'm asking you a question. Have I ever been am I the one to ever be like a Karen in a customer service setting?
No, you don't like confrontation.
No, I don't like confrontation. I'm timid. I'm usually afraid to stand up for myself. But in this case, I wanted to. Anyways, backing it up.
On that terms, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was the one who had to walk away and cool down.
Yeah,
I've never had that in my life before.
Yeah,
I'm the one
give me my fucking baby.
Well, she didn't have my baby.
No, I know. I had the baby. You're like, give me my fucking baby, and then fucking marched off.
Bitch, give me my baby back.
It's like, oh fuck.
No, no. But back to this one. For a pilot to come up and say, I have some bad news. Don't do that.
But wouldn't it be kind of funny to fuck with people like as a pilot? I would definitely feel like I'd be a sarcastic ass as a pilot.
Okay,
so,
let's not
got some real bad news, gentlemen.
Boy who cried wolf. You think you're gonna?
We're gonna be
die?
about 15 minutes late.
Oh my god, I can't.
That is all.
I would die. I would die. Okay. This one. We'll be quick because we're at 48 minutes.
Jeez.
Flew our family of 6, including young kids, to the wrong island in the Bahamas. We landed in Bahamas from Atlanta and walked out of the airport and asked the taxi driver to take us to our resort. We had booked 7 nights using points, and he said, "You're on the wrong island." Had to go back to the airport, take regional airline to the next island over, which meant hours waiting in the airport, and then a ride on a tiny airplane with all our family luggage. That would suck.
I mean, that's your own fucking fault.
Fair, but you're telling me that after a long flight with little kids.
I'm telling you that do your fucking research.
Okay.
That's just plain stupidity.
But you finally get to the Bahamas. You're like, oh, it's a trip. Take us to our resort.
Yeah, and you fucked up.
Nope.
Now you're paying for it.
Go back on that plane with your
own damn
4 or
fault.
5 young kids.
That's your own damn fault.
That's what nightmares are made of.
It's not that nobody did that to them except themselves.
Okay. Next one. Many years ago, paper tickets, I read 17:45 as 7:45 p.m. So military time instead of normal. The counter at Newark was packing up and going home when I showed up to check in. Well,
17:45. So he thought 17:45.
No, they thought 7:45. It was 17:45. So it was 5:45.
7:45 is in the morning.
7:45.
17:45 is 5 o'clock. Or no, that's like 9 o'clock. 5 plus
17:45.
Yeah.
Is 5 p.m. They read it as 7:45 p.m.
Oh, I got you.
They showed up 2 hours late for a flight.
I got you.
Okay. Do I have to teach you what military time is?
No. You serious?
No, I've never been right when it comes to that.
I know.
You were.
I'm high.
Okay, good excuse. Okay, I have a few more, so I'm going to try and find the best one. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I kind of feel bad for this girl or guy, but they're also stupid. I was 18 and it was my first time traveling alone. I went to Argentina for 3 months. My first weekend, and I'm wandering around the Buenos Aires. Did I say that right? Buenos Aires?
I have no idea.
Anyways, at the time, I knew enough Spanish to get by, and a man approaches me and asks for directions in Spanish. I tell him that I'm not from here. He then asks me if I'm a tourist. I say yes, and he seems delighted, quickly telling me that he is too. He offers up the idea to explore the city together. I, alone in the big city, agree. We start walking together, and he seems like a really nice guy. After about an hour, he says, "Tengo ham." I'm going to butcher that. Basically, he says, "I'm hungry" in Spanish. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, and it's about 1, so we go to a nice restaurant. He tells me I have to try the steak and red wine. I'm not much of a wine fan, but he convinces me. We're there about an hour, and the bill comes. It's 140 pesos. He pulls out 100 pesos. I try to pay for my half, but he only lets me pay 40. He tells me I can get the beers later. We continue on our little adventure and eventually come to a bar with outdoor seating. The waitress brings out a liter of beer and we relax. Soon enough, another liter comes out. We finish the second liter and leave this bar. Then I wake up 8 hours later, missing my debit card, iPod, cell phone, and travel guide. So.
Got drugged and robbed.
Yeah. But also.
Cash.
Unfortunately, that sounds like a very smart way to get a young person. Like, you being all nice, you're like, oh, no, I got this one. I'll pay for this. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to swindle you. I'm paying for this. Mm-hmm. And then you get them at the next one. That's a good thing to watch out for. I wouldn't be traveling at 18 by myself. I know there's a lot of people who like take a gap year after high school and they go travel. I would have been way too much of a little pussy for that. To travel by myself in a different country, I would have 100% probably gotten taken advantage of. Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know how vulnerable you were.
Oh, wait. You gotta say bye. Oh, yeah. Just like, see ya. I don't know if we are going to be able to record next week because I'll be out of town for the weekend.
Yep. She's got a wedding. She's shooting.
I'm second shooting.
Still, it's with Rachel. She's cool.
Yes.
She's cool shit. What's up, Rach?
I don't know if she listens.
If she, whatever.
But
shout out Rach.
So I'm excited for that. But yeah, so not sure if we'll record next week. Might have to bear with us this summer. We might have a few weeks where we're not as consistent.
Got a lot of shit going on. I'm golfing a lot.
Oh, wow. You're
training for that.
I'm busy. I'm sorry. I'm golfing.
I'm training for that senior pro-am.
Either way,
catch me outside. We
will try to be as consistent as we can. But when we do record the next episode, it will be things that men want women to know. So
I gotta work on that. I might need 2 weeks to come up with all that.
You'll wait till the last minute and then expect me to have it. I'm afraid one of these days that it is going to be me doing this podcast alone. I'm scared of that.
Really?
Because I'm going to have to I kind of have to convince you every time. It's like you don't really want to come.
No, it's just we've had a lot of busy weekends.
You have fun when you're doing it, right?
Correct.
Sometimes?
I do. Okay. I enjoy it.
Okay.
I do it for you. You are the only reason I do this.
Wait a minute. No. You're the one who initially said you wanted to.
It's a joke. Holy crap.
What? Is that a joke?
Yes.
Was that a joke?
Yes.
I thought we were doing it together because we both enjoy it.
We do.
Okay. Now I'm second guessing. Doing it for me, my ass. I'm doing all the work.
I know.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.